Last word.
All right, good evening and welcome to what is increasingly becoming the People's Show, The Last Word. We do this every Tuesday on NTV, and today, being Tuesday, not any other day, we do have The Last Word. And today we are joined, of course, by the usual suspects, Eric Latif. The rest of the panel are away for some good reason. I hope it's a good reason, Latif.
I definitely do hope so. Here we are.
Yeah. But tonight we want to discuss this one question on voter registration on IEBC. And we're asking you at home and in studio, do you trust the IEBC? Do you place your trust in the IEBC to really, really deliver the election for you? And this question is, of course, born out of not, out of thin air. It is an interesting question based on how we vote, based on what we think, what happens during elections, but most importantly is the sanctity of that one single vote. And it boils down to, do we all think that our individual votes actually matter? That's the question we're asking. I'd like to hear your thoughts on social media. We are NTV Kenya, both on NTV, on Instagram, on Twitter, TikTok, and everywhere else you'd find us. But first, before we get to the thick of thin things, we usually start with the hot buttons. I'll start with mine, because mine is really, really outside the news cycle, or perhaps even in the news cycle. Yeah. It's really based on our former president, lovely former father of the nation, Uhuru Kenyatta. This is what he said last week after a long hiatus from the public. This is what former President Uhuru Kenyatta said.
In the last general election, I endeavored to pass this message. Unfortunately, it fell on deaf ears and was lost in the noise of insults, character assassinations, myths and stories of dynasties and hustlers, and so on. Yeah. Today, many of the gains we had in the past have been eroded. Linda Mama and others replaced by new, untried, untested schemes. And while we wait for these experiments to work, Kenyans suffer and our progress is retarded. As we continue to dwell in rhetoric rather than in progress, we repeat the mistakes of the past.
So this is the gist of the former president. He said that many of the gains that Kenya had done in his presumably 10 years have now been eroded. And these many experiments, they're untried, untested, they actually don't work for the people. Now I have two issues here, just bone of contention. One, the former president, if you were to believe him that really, this government is failing, you have to say that the last 10 years of Uhuru Kenyatta were extremely fantastic and good for the people of this country. I'm not sure how that is true, but we have to go to the second level of it, where he suggests that all these experiments, and SHA being there as one of the experiments, the new education system, means testing is part of it, housing is also part of it. Many of these things actually were in the previous 10 years of Uhuru Kenyatta. This is an interesting case of monkey see, monkey do. It's almost impossible to differentiate between these two administrations. And I mean, this system today that we have, the government that we have its failures, the many experiments, as the former presidents correctly put them. But I find it almost difficult to believe and to imagine, to suggest that the Jubilee government, led by President Uhuru Kenyatta, was incredibly doing well. And he, as the former president, actually does have a platform to sort of question the sitting president. That's my view. Latif.
I completely agree with you. I think it was very rich. I was watching it live, and I felt, wow, rich, really rich, coming from you, Mr. President. And I wonder at what point in this country our leaders are going to start by accepting that, you know, they did not do the best that they could, and that they were not the best, and they didn't deliver the best. Just first of all, start by accepting that we are in a hole we are in, partly because of the things that you did, and then start pointing towards probably this could be the solution. But coming to speak as if, you know, I left a very good house,
fantastic economy was working.
I'm wondering, there are no roof, there are no windows. In fact, I left furniture in here, and there's no furniture anymore. Oh my God, what happened to these people? It's dishonesty.
It's quite the height of dishonesty. And I mean, hopefully this, and it looks like it, you know, it ushers in the sort of new layer of politics that now we're going to get into this. Or who was better between former President Uhuru Kenyatta or, you know, current President William Ruto? It just takes us to a place where we actually, as Latif says correctly, we just don't discuss issues. It is an excuse to get us all involved in a political quest that really gives us nothing. But as always, we are not alone. We do have an audience. The gentleman of the right, please tell us your name. What's your hot button? What is the thing that has been exercising your mind, if you like, this whole week?
Thank you. My name is Jeff Moshai. From Kiambu County, Githunguri constituency, Ikino Ward. My hot button tonight is on how the current regime handles constructive criticism. So, if you want to measure the seriousness of any government or the unseriousness of any government in place, you just look at how it handles its constructive criticism. And this is not only in Kenya, but also in the world and over. So, we have a million of examples on how the current regime handles constructive criticism, including the youth who have been demonstrating now and then, calling out the government because they think, in their own genuine opinion, they think that things are not working at all. And whenever the government counters that, it counters that using a lot of ruthlessness. Now, we have a case, a recent example, of the former president of Kenya, who just spoke in the Special National Delegates Convention last Friday. He called out the government. In his own opinion, as a citizen and a former president, because he also has his own constitutional rights, freedom of expression being one of them. He just called out some of the issues that he thinks are not working, or rather, they were somewhere and the situation is now even worsening. And what does the government of the day does? He just had a simple cough, and the State House is suffering from a serious flu because they, instead of putting their house in order, they have now started engaging in empty rhetorics. Instead of calling you see, we've done this and that, so we just have to put our house in order, go back to the drawing board, and rethink where did the rain start beating us. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that. We have the lady here in front. Same drill. Your name, what is your hot button?
My name is Ashiza Nameza. I'm from Nairobi County. I represent Bunge la Wananchi, Jivanji. My hot button today is gender inequality. Our Kenya Constitution normally always talks about and gives us our promises and saying that we are always given equality, but we are not. When you see women being sidelined in many things, in politics, in workplaces, in justice, in education. We've seen girls who are in marginalized areas like Turkana, Mandera. Those girls don't even get education and don't even, like, okay, we always see even early marriages. So, like, what I see even in the current system, we've seen our senator who was nominated, Gloria Owoba, given a speech out to not even represent herself as a woman. So, like, what I see mostly, where is Kenya going to? As a woman, when you go to offices, they have to seek for something. They have to ask you, are you going to do this so that you can get this? So where are we? Are we not a part of this country?
Right.
Yeah, we are part of the country. We contribute more than even men. But okay, we are sidelined in many things. Yeah, that is my hot button for today.
Thank you. Thank you. I was going to ask you, do you think women today in this country are better off or worse off than, say, I don't know, pick a time, 5 years ago or 10 years ago?
Okay, right now, it's better. It's better off. Because you see, like the third gender rule, the women who fought who went to the Beijing fought. But okay, it has not been yet, I think,
fully realized.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. But
okay,
we are still working on it, and we are hoping, because you see, like when we go to the parliament, we always see most of the people are men. And also, like when you want to pass a law, and like most of the men are always passing it. But okay, women are being sidelined. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for this thought. I mean, we are better. It's good to know and to take note that we are better today than where we were maybe 5 or 10 years ago.
Yes.
But it's not where we need to be.
Yes.
We always need to do better. And these questions always come on, how do we elect more women into office, get the position of power and authority?
Yes.
Not just because we need to, but because it's important. There's a section of the society only works best if every sector of society has hands on deck. Yeah. And I think it's one of those difficult questions and decisions that I think in political times we don't have the formula yet on how do we make sure that parliament really is populated by both genders in ways that delivers democracy and delivers the goods, as it were.
Yeah. Yeah, I think in very many aspects, I always push back and say that it's the society. We are not honest with ourselves, that we want to push this onto other people. You want to say, Parliament should come up with a formula, political parties should do this and the other, but who goes to the ballot? We're the ones who go to the ballot. Who nominates people? I mean, if we stood up and said, we want so-and-so as our candidate, it would not matter if a political party picked them or not. We'd even tell them, go as an independent, we are going to elect you. We'd elect that person. So I think I just take it always back. This question of gender and whether we actually are doing, are able to achieve gender equality,
right?
We need to have a conversation at community level. What do we need to do to accept that we ought to elect people because they are capable, whether they are men, women, youth, persons with disability? It's your capability that gets you there.
Absolutely. This is a good segue to our topic of the night. And the original question that we asked, do you trust the IEBC to deliver credible elections? There will be an elections, for sure. The Constitution demands that we would have an election in August 2027. But will it be credible? And would you trust the IEBC in its own current formation as it is to deliver it? Now, the IEBC obviously has just been reconstituted, a couple of months into office. They come with a certain baggage, as all IEBC come, and I think straight up is a few things. Number one is they come at the back of a disputed previous election. And this has happened all too many times. I think in the last 3-4 elections we've had in this country, they've ended up being disputed.
Yep.
What that does to the institution, it shakes its ability and our trust on this institution, because we tend to see that institution as a function of politics as opposed to a service to us when we want to articulate elections. So that's the first thing. The second thing is IEBC has this tendency of, again, which is, I think, the political tool of getting people come from nowhere that we don't know who these people are. And this really is really problematic. And I say this with a lot of respect on all the commissioners and the chairman before and the chairman in this current chairman and the commissioners. It's the job of conducting elections is a job of trust.
Yeah.
You want persons who have A, public gravitas, 2, they somewhat have a personality and a profile, so they're not building their profile as they are running such a supercharged, highly charged contest where Kenyans basically are taking sides. Then you have a person in the middle who we generally, would struggle to find their own profile.
Yeah.
And then what they do, or the chairman, what they do is they disappear. So they don't talk to anyone, they just disappear. In public, the job is like, I am here and I'm not here.
Yeah.
All right? And that's very problematic. But I think at the base of it all, the IEBC, this one, it starts on a foot of, okay, guys, we have to have, I think next month, we start with having the by-elections, and then we have this continuous voter registration that they have kicked off. Admittedly, it started really slow, and there's questions about how many people really are going, and especially young people would want to get involved. And then what does that tell us about, I don't know, the faith or trust we have in IEBC?
Yeah.
Now, let's take a listen to some of the young men and women who showed up on the first day of the continuous voter registration, just to set the stage of exactly what they think this election is going to be about, and that question of the credibility of the IEBC. Where do we place it? Where do we situate it? Let's take a listen.
Kuja Makindu kuchukua voters card, ndio mwaka ikifika kuwe tayari kutoa viongozi wengine, tuweke wengine, wasi vijana mtoke mkuje, tufanye vizuri, ndio mwaka ikifika mambo ikuwe sawa, kuchukua voters kuna kitu unalipa.
If you want to determine how this country is driven, what can stop you? You are 31% of all of us.
So we are doing registration in phases, and this is phase 1, which will be focused at the constituency level. Then phase 2 will now go further down to the wards and villages. And that is, for that one, we will get enhanced funding as well, so that we conduct that mass voter registration exercise as well. We were given a budget by the Treasury, although there are certain budget cuts, but we've negotiated with the Treasury, and for this registration of voters, especially the first phase, this is phase 1, which will target the 290 constituencies. We have funding for that.
So vijana tunaomba nyinyi tafadhali. Nyinyi ndio tegemeo la Kenya. All of us are looking upon you to save our country.
Well, let's bring this home. We gave you a card, you can see it. And the question is simply this, that we've been asking the whole night. Do you trust IEBC to deliver credible elections in 2027? Green is yes, you trust them absolutely. Red is no. Use your boards now. Do you trust IEBC to deliver a credible elections? Raise them high, raise them high. Okay.
So we've got more reds than greens.
Yes.
I think I'd like to ask a question that's just related to this. Did you vote in the last election? Yes, green, red, no. All right. So almost the entire room actually participated in the last election.
Yes.
So they've already had an interaction with the IEBC.
Right.
And then we are seeing that a majority in the room are saying that they have less trust in the IEBC to deliver a credible election in 2027. Maybe just to hear from one or two of those who said no. Okay, gentleman with the mic, and you have The suit behind the second row.
Good evening. My name is Dan Kandongo. I stand here in the capacity of as Secretary General, Kenya School of Law. So my take will be, I really don't trust the IEBC currently, and I think it stems from the corruption aspect of it. So the other day, I think recently, just this week, we saw the chairman of IEBC saying that they give an expenditure, or rather they made a budget of 1 billion for the 24 election, the by-elections, exactly. So they wanted 1 billion in order to facilitate those 24 by-elections. Then I wondered if those, if 1 billion is equal to the 24 electoral, let me say, actually there are 24 electoral positions. If the 1 billion is for the 24 electoral positions, what about the general elections, which involve 1,882? What amount of money then will be used for the general election? That speaks a lot about the corruption aspect of it. I wish one of them will be here to explain how the 1 billion. You see, I think these days the government is just used to a lot of money, especially terming them as billions and billions, and it seems as if it is not a lot of money. So by the chairman of IEBC saying that they are planning to use 1 billion for only 24 electoral positions, is still alarming.
So let me ask you the question.
Yes.
What's the connection between that expenditure,
yes,
and the delivery of a credible election?
One, by the fact that they want a lot of money, and as I stated, that it is very corrupt for them to say that they need a lot of. We are students of history, and we know when that much money is expected from them, it's not it's not that the 1 billion will be. It's not that the 1 billion will be used entirely to finance the electoral system. So there's some amount of money which is being planned, at least. I'm not saying that they are planning to do that, but there's some amount of money which they are also setting aside, perhaps even for themselves. So if that mistrust starts from the financial aspect, what about the elections, which we are yet to do?
What would you say if so to challenge this point and say,
yes,
part of how the elections are expensive is because first we don't trust each other as Kenyans,
yes,
and because of that, then we created a lot of systems to make sure that we don't steal from each other, right? So the ballot paper itself has to have security fixtures, almost like a note, okay? You need to hold it up so that you see all the things you need. It has, I think, almost 7 or 8 features, all right? So that's one thing. 2, we need to use electronic, all right? We need to make sure that when you come there, we can put your electronics, because we don't trust you to come and just say, my name is so-and-so, and it is you, all right? Everyone here would vote like 10 times if you're given the chance. What would you say if this cost is born out of the mistrust of the society, and this is where we find ourselves? So it's not really our IEBC problem per se, it's our societal problem.
For that, I really don't know what can really be done, because even if, because recently they introduced also the IRIS system, so as to ensure at least a transparent election. But then, even if you look at those systems, the biometric, the one that they started with in 2012, that was the first inception of the biometric system in 2012. Recently, just in 2022, before the 2022 elections, we saw that at least 500,000 voters were really faulty. By faulty, I mean they were multiple, they were registered multiply. So I really wondered what can really be done so as to ensure a really transparent. So in answering that, I will say that it's really hard. I don't know, but I know the government has a lot of expenditure. The government really has a lot of money. So I think what can be done is the government in its own can really come with a solid solution. It's just that the main cancer, just eating our country, is corruption. And I think, yeah, if they can just settle that, I think we can have a better country, even with lesser resources.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The chicken and egg situation.
Yes.
Who should solve the trust sort of deficit in this country?
Yeah.
Anyone else who voted? Yeah, keep us the microphone to the gentleman at the back.
Hello.
Yes.
My name is Boniface Mlinga, and I'm a filmmaker. Actually, I don't trust the IEBC because we only see them when they are asking for more monies, to be allocated more monies, or during elections. A truly functioning IEBC should work year-round, educating, listening, and even doing some reforms. Lest we forget, a lot of orphans. We have seen a lot of orphans coming out from disputed elections, and IEBC should take full weight of that. Thank you.
All right. There's a lady in the house. Please place the microphone to the back. Please give the lady at the back your name. Why don't you trust the IEBC deliver a credible elections?
Is Sharon Choka, and I'm also into tech, basically. So I do believe that right now I heard that the commissioner said that we have the 150,000 BVR systems that have been introduced into the country, and basically we do have a budget of around 60 billion that is supposed to be indicated and set aside for the IEBC elections, right? So I feel like we have been doing this for the last couple of years previously. We've seen this with our forefathers. We've seen this last time that we were into the elections. And I feel like as me, as a Gen Z, and I'm going to be voting for the first time, I feel like my vote is not going to basically be of use, because I feel like already the system knows what they're going to be doing, you know? Because why will you tell me that we have a BVR system that is having the fingerprints, we're having the iris taken and everything basically major, you know? I feel like the system is rigged already, and we need to stand up as a country, because I believe the Gen Z, we stood up previously and we showcased our power in our voices. And I feel like there's a country, I don't know if it's something, they voted using this code. So I feel like with or without the funds, if the system decides to like vote correctly and our votes to be counted in the best way possible, then I think that we can achieve anything with or without the money. So I feel like the system is already rigged, and the country should wake up and stand up and decide that, you know what, if at all these BVRs are going to be introduced in the country, then someone in Turkana should also be told how to use it. This is how it's going to take the system. This is how the system is going to be working. So I feel like we as a country, we should stand up, raise our voices, and educate each other on what is supposed to be done. Thank you.
Who said yes? Who had? All right, let's go to the lady who actually said yes. The lady in red.
Thank you so much. I said no, but let me just take questions. Okay, yes. So I do not trust IEBC, and the reason is we have seen previously some of the friends to President Ruto say clearly that tutaiba kura. And yes, so it takes us back to the systems. Can we trust the IEBC systems that they're really going to deliver? And back to also accessibility to people, and how the voting process is going to be conducted, straight away from casting the votes to counting and them being sent to the central place where they'll be announced. So I do not trust IEBC, and maybe if we have a representation of IEBC in the room, you can tell us more about how you're planning to erase the history, make us erase the history, and now start trusting you.
You voted before?
No, it will be my first time actually to vote.
Do you have an ID card?
Yes. and
Right.
I'll be voting.
Have you registered? Have you registered?
No, but I'll be registering within this week.
You will register?
Yes.
Well, yeah, we invited the IEBC, and they told us the commissioners and senior management are right now very much engaged in the continuous voter registration exercise, and so they'll not be able to join us tonight, but they had the invitation. And of course, I think we're going to be hearing them responding to all these issues in coming days. I want to be unapologetically controversial today, by the way. And I want to ask, really, is there a lack of public trust in the IEBC as an institution, or in the election process that involves all the actors? We have the electoral management body, that's the IEBC. We have the candidates, that's the politicians. And then we have the voter, that's a most critical stakeholder. The reason I'm asking that is, the secretary of the Kenya School of Law has reminded us, on that day of the general election, we don't have one election. It's one day. It was 1,882 elections, right? And how we arrive at this, we know. We have 290 different elections at constituency level. We have 1,450 different elections at ward level. We have 47 governor, 47 senator, 47 woman rep, and 1 presidential. That's happening across the country. Now let's just go back into the ward level, okay? Those that voted in the last election, you went to a school, true? And when you go to that school, you are directed to papers on the wall. And these papers on the wall had your names. And you're told if your name is starting with this and the other, you go to classroom the other. You get there, you get identified as a voter. And then you're given your ballot. You go and cast your ballot, and you leave. At that point, do you have trust in the process and the IEBC? You woke up the morning, you went to the election to vote. At that point, are you going to the election because you don't have trust in the process, or that you have trust in the process? Trust in the process, okay? By the time that you're just going to the election, by the time you're putting your paper in the ballot box, right? Do you have faith that your vote is going to be counted? Green, yes. By the time you're putting some people are casting their votes and they did not trust that this will make any difference.
Any difference.
So why turn up in the first place, right? Okay. What happens is at the end of that day, when the polls closed, that classroom is closed. Nothing leaves the classroom, okay? They start by counting the presidential, they go all the way to the ward. When they're counting, they don't count using that BVR or any electronic or any biometric. What? It is paper. The paper that you marked is counted, right? And there are people who are observing and seeing what's being counted. So there's no punky being played here unless there's a lot of collusion. Well, in some cases we hear that there's collusion in the room, but there has to be a lot of collusion with everybody who's in that room,
of course,
to agree that this thing, to chase and namnai. But the vote is being counted. At the end of that entire exercise, when we have done 1,882, there's those who are unhappy have an avenue to go to court. In the last election of 2022, 91 election petitions were determined in court out of 1,882. 91 election petitions. So I ask, is there really a dispute that we have with the election and the election management? Or is it amplified by the fact that there's one election that raises a lot of heat and a lot of emotion, and that goes to the Supreme Court, and that makes everything else appear like it was nonsense? Because people say, IEBC, walieka vifaranga vya computer, and all those, and
Kamago also voted.
Jose Kamago was in the ballot, and we see politicians saying that some of those politicians were elected in office, and there's no petition that has challenged the election.
No. Fascinating question. So, have you to think about that? And do we have a problem with the electoral management, as Latif says, or the problem is perhaps just us, with what we view an election is? Is 2027 election of the presidency, and the rest is just flower girls and boys? Do we think that is a problem, or do we think genuinely that we need to have a bit of a deeper conversation about what we think an election is? So we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back, and we'll start exactly from there. What we think our problem is with the elections in our trust-deficient society. You're watching the People's Show, of course. The Last Word. We'll be right back.
This is The Last Word.
All right, welcome back. You're watching The Last Word, and we pick it up from where Latif left. The question of, do we have a trust deficit as a society, or we just don't trust the IEBC? Is it possible that the election in itself is not the problem? The problem is us, the people of this country, all right? We just don't trust anything. But also, I think we behave badly in general. We are the ones who would cut lines, the ones who would, have a communal conspiracy on how to stuff ballots, because that doesn't happen at Bomas of Kenya at all. It happens at those polling streams and stations where, we conduct the elections, because the elections actually are conducted at the polling station, all right? That's final. There's absolutely no movement of the ballot. It's the number. It is you people agreeing in this polling station, there will be 98% voter turnout. Well, a simple basic math statistics suggests that literally anything above 78%, 80% is cooked numbers. There is absolutely no way that everyone in your community showed up and voted. It doesn't make sense. But we seem to accept that as a fact and as a reality. So do we have a problem of trust? And do we just behave badly as citizens? So to the effect that it doesn't matter what we say, what we do, whether we use technology or not. So our complaint of just how much money we spend on elections essentially is a moot complaint, because we'll find ways on how to go around it. All right? Let's get some thoughts. Where's the microphone? Start here, then the lady at the back. Please.
So thank you so much. My name is Habib Omar from Karabangi Social Justice Center. Just to delve directly into your question, even if we were to talk about the systems and the structures, and in terms of management of election, then it is we the people. It is individuals who, again, are managing this system. So definitely it is our bad manners as a society, and I think we need just to be able first, as we talk about the reforms and changes of electoral process, then it has to start from an individual perspective, redefining our values and principles as a society. Then again, coming to IEBC as a body, because today I'll tell you for a fact, any politician know very well that if you want to win an election, lazima ucheze na system. You have to bribe the returning officer, you have to have presiding officer, the clerks with you. Because I don't see the need of political candidates having agents in an election room when IEBC can be able to conduct a credible election. So again, even in the question in terms when we're asking about credibility of election, then we have to adhere to the principles of fairness, transparency, inclusivity, and the aspect of integrity. Because again, just to be able to respond to the aspect of over-budgeting, because it doesn't even make sense right now why IEBC is demanding 1.046 billion to carry out 24 by-election. That itself is a problem, is a red card. Because again, they'll be able to carry incredible election and blame it on underfunding, because the money that already released right now is 788 billion, which means there is a deficit of around 528 billion. So the moment that we'll be demanding that there was incredible by-election, then they'll just have a lame excuse or somewhere to point figures. That.
But let me ask, how do you think IEBC would achieve this, deliver credible elections? If, for instance, let's take a practical example in this coming by-elections. If IEBC says, okay, we'll not have vehicles to deliver the ballots on constituency X or place Y, we're going to use police vehicles. They're going to be much cheaper.
I'm not saying that...
How do you react?
Definitely I'll not be able to agree, because we are talking about the system. You see, when you have the system, and that is why the last election they were able to say that this time took on a system. So they are sure of winning. So it means, which system do you have? It means that even the political aspirant, when you're on the side of the government, somehow you are advantaged to win election. But again, we are looking at the historical election irregularities since 2007, 2013, 2017, until even the illegality being taken, the presidential election being taken to court. So again, it is an eroded trust that Kenyans have with IEBC as a system managing our election. So it is something that it will take us much time, because even in the last election, 2022, the aspect of voter apathy was, at the end of the day, I'm going to cast my vote, but it's not going to count. So again, why am I going to vote again? Right. So it's a question that we need to be able to ask ourselves, even as we demand accountability. Because even the money that you are asking, can you give me the justification of why we need that 1 billion for this by-election? So does it make sense?
All right. Okay. Give the microphone to the lady at the back. Yes, please.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Ashley Tinkoi, a student pharmacist at Kenyatta University. My take is, okay, we might seem to blame IEBC, or when we hear IEBC and like voting, we tend to point our fingers at the commission. But I feel like it's our general responsibility. Like, let's take, okay, we might, due to like past credibility issues or funding gaps, or issues like, let's say, tech issues, we might point our fingers at IEBC, but it's our general responsibility and our apathy, like our ignorance to, let's say, mbona niende nika register if my vote won't be counted. That's our ignorance, and it's also on us. It's not about like us pointing fingers at each other or the IEBC versus us. They are a commission, they set it up, but it is us who like make use of it, and it's our general responsibility to like go and vote, register as voters, and like cast our votes.
Did you vote the last time?
No, I was young.
You were young?
Yeah.
It's a very good answer. Do you have an ID now?
Yeah, I have an ID right now.
Okay. Are you planning to?
Yeah, I must register as a voter and I must vote.
All right.
Must and must.
Must and must, yes. Yes, please.
Hello, my name is Monica Atieno, and I would like to argue that most Kenyans believe in the IEBC as much as we would not like to believe it. For instance, in the 2022 elections, the Supreme Court affirmed that the presidential election was conducted in line with the Constitution. This actually affirms institutional credibility. The challenge that usually comes with IEBC is in terms of delayed communication and sometimes issues with their gadgets, and maybe when politicians decide to use them as a punching bag. Because most of the times you don't find a citizen just coming up and saying that I don't trust in the IEBC unless a political leader discredits the institution. So it's not directly from the citizens, but as something that is brought up from influence. So I believe that IEBC has a fighting chance. They can actually use this registration process to increase their credibility and trust by making sure that data is very available, so that if they are conducting registration at a certain county, we know by the end of the day we had this number of people register, these are the genders, these are the ages, and through this start, it is easier now to continue to build trust as we go towards the 2027 elections.
So IEBC just has a communication problem, generally, by and large.
It's just a perception problem.
Perception problem.
Yes.
Did you vote in the last election?
No.
Or you were young as well?
I was not young. Actually, I had registered in a different location, and I was at...
So you're technically, yes.
Yeah.
Are you going to be in the right location this time?
Yes.
All right. Microphone on this side. Where is it? Yes.
She has a mic.
She has the microphone already, please.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. What happened? Okay, please go ahead. This is the corruption we're talking about. The lack of trust. Okay. I saw a lady, then I see a guy. Okay,
my name is Ajin Okello. I come from Navajo in Kakamega, currently a student in Kenyatta University. So I think I personally trust the IEBC because first it was constituted constitutionally, right? I understand that there is a historical issue in terms of trust, whereby historically people have not been trusting the commission. But I think the commission just needs to maybe do some things that maybe have not been done. One that has been said is about communication and that updating, because for reasons we have the dead votes, because someone can register there as a voter, maybe after a year, a month or two, he dies. You know, that update and that communication is what will bring the transparency, right? And I think the other thing is about how the IEBCs are conducting the voter registration, because the new votes, the 6.3 million votes that are being targeted, majority of them are currently in universities and colleges and other tertiary institutions.
Right.
So I think the key focus should be how IEBC should now go in those institutions and look for the new voters to register. Because tell me, it's not easier for me to come from KUI study to go to the nearest office to register. I think I urge IEBC to work in institutions, to work in universities, in schools, in colleges, so that to get a huge number of voters. And I believe once we have a majority of voters, it means the voice of the people will be heard, or rather will be well represented.
We do hope, but have you registered as a voter?
Yes.
Did you vote the last time?
I voted last time.
All right, so you're going to vote this time again?
Absolutely, yes.
I'd like to ask you, now that you voted the last time.
Yes.
Do you think your vote counted?
I believe my vote counted because all the people that I voted passed. So my vote counted.
You would not.
So if any of them had not passed, you'd be saying Ikitu Mebiwa.
Okay, my vote counted because wherever I was, there was that transparent. I understand in other places it was not, but where I was, it was a transparent election from the start to the end.
Okay.
Yes.
All
Thank
right.
you.
The lady at the back.
Good evening. My name is Maureen Chepchirchir. I am from Jomo Kenyatta University, and I am also a representative of Ladies Assemble. Now, allow me to start with the first question of, do I trust the IEBC? Yes, I do, because I refuse to believe that over 22 million Kenyans are seated at home, seated, relaxed, and we're 2 years to elections, and they don't trust the people who are going to manage those elections. In this room, I'm counting approximately 24 people, and if I put a ratio to it, 6-1, 6 voted no, and 1 voted yes. So if I put that ratio to Kenyans, and Kenyans, you're seated comfortably at home, comfortably, voting, saying you don't trust the IEBC, and these are the same people who are going to put in the next president, put in the next governor. I feel like that is very diabolical. Now, on the next question of, are we the problem or is the system the problem? I think the system was the problem. And from the first time that we voted and we saw that the system had a problem, we gained a trust deficiency as the people. Hence, we do not trust the system because it already showed us once that it does not give back the same trust we give it. Now, I am not going to put the same blame in all the systems that have been in place. But do I think that they could have managed things better? Yes. For example, majority of the things we're complaining here about is finances. If they are transparent about how they use their finances, then Kenyans will not give backlash or will not doubt the input that they give. The same way, if we see a good outcome of an election where we see the credibility or where we see the different steps that they have taken to give us that result, then we will not put in as much doubt as we do. We put in so much doubt because we get there into the polling stations. Yes, we vote. Yes, the numbers are tallied and sent and all of that. But the same people that we want to put our trust in turn against each other. You know, it doesn't make sense when IEBC, and then there are 7 in number, considering the chair and then the 6 commissioners. It doesn't make sense when all of them are 3 are on the it was fair and 3 are on the it's not fair. It doesn't make sense, and yet you're on the same body. You are doing the same processes. What is wrong? Where did you lose the one that said no? Where is one saying yes and one saying no? It does not make sense.
Where did you go wrong?
Where did you exactly? So why are people seated and why are people comfortable? Why are we so used to mediocrity or to being given less that we are so content that we are seated at home and we are just relaxed? And yet we are putting people in power who are not giving us back. These people are being paid. You're voting for free. These people are being paid. I refuse to understand, because at the end of this election period, this person will be paid and will go home with a sum. But you are sitting here choosing mediocrity and just being content and saying, oh no, it is the system. You are the problem. Okay. It is you.
All right. Can I ask, did you vote the last time, as always?
Unfortunately, my age could not allow.
Are you going to vote this? Are you going to vote this time?
Yes, I will open the polling station.
Do you have an ID?
Yes, I do have an ID.
And a voter's card?
Not yet, no.
Not yet?
Yes.
So you're the problem?
No.
You've just lectured us about
I am not the problem because where I want to get my voter's card is home.
So you need to travel?
So I need to travel there.
Okay. Why?
Because unfortunately, the IEBC has not put in measures or has not put in a system where I can register here
but
and
you're here
still
now.
vote there.
You're going to be in school here.
Yes, but according to my calculations, on that day of the elections, I will not be here.
All right.
Okay.
Yes.
So some bit of information from the IEBC. In this continuous voter registration exercise, go to the nearest IEBC office and you register as a voter in whatever you want to register. Okay? So you don't have to travel to your shags today. Okay?
Thank you for the...
Yeah. So
don't be the problem.
Kesho.
I will not be the problem.
Kesho. Register.
Kesho. 9 a.m.
Okay. The gent here on the front, then I'll come to this other gent.
Thank you very much. My name is Innocent Wanyonyi Otuma, and I'll be quick. I will take us quickly through a journey of statistics and elimination to answer your question. Your first question of 1, who is the problem in an electoral cycle? And 2, therefore, what should IEBC do to solve the problem? 1, who is the problem in an election cycle? And to answer that question, we need to know who are the players to an election. We have 3 players to an election. The first player is IEBC, who is the referee to the game. The second player is the contestants, who are the actors in the game, and the third players are the voters, who are the beholders to the game, and at the end of the day, they choose the one who's the fairest of them all. Now, let's look between the 3 who has a problem. I was an enumerator at Afrobarometer Round 10 survey, which is a known perception survey done throughout Africa. I did it last year. And in Afrobarometer, we had 2 results. We did a survey on the electoral cycle. The first survey said that 75% of Kenyans believe that elections in Kenya are free and fair. But only 45% of Kenyans believe that the IEBC can deliver a free, credible, and fair election. Those are 2 ambits, and I'll look at the both of them very quickly. In the first ambit, it means that if Kenyans believe in the electoral cycle, Kenyans do not have a problem. And in fact, when you go to the polling stations during polling day, because I'm a voter and I voted, the silence day is sacred, the order is military, and therefore there can never be a problem with the voters. I'll go back to the 2 actors, IEBC and the players, and that is where we have the problem. Many a times, IEBC, who are the referees to the game, and the politicians who are the actors to the game have been have been intertwined in an unholy matrimony. IBC, as the referee, have been caught offside themselves in very many ways. I remember as a mature pre-unit student in the year 2007, Kivuitu, in the hotly contested election, said that he himself didn't know who had won the election. It caused chaos. In 2013, there was mumbles here and there about the vifaranga via computer. There was a problem. In 2017, as a lawyer, I remember Maraga told us that an election is not only an event, but a process. And therefore, the process should be credible in as much as the event was credible. And as I conclude, I will remind us that, okay, we listened painfully to the Bomas choir when it was singing, and we remember what happened in 2022. I will not rehash. Now we have a new commission. I was raising my green card here to say that I have faith in the commission. Why do I have faith in the commission? Each and every electoral cycle, we have a new and fresh faces to the election cycle. I believe that Erastus, who has shown sobriety of mind and character, can deliver the results of the election. What he has to do, which will answer my second ambit of my discussion as I conclude, is he has to ensure that he plays his game well as a referee. He has to ensure that the political players, we have heard of people saying that isipotosha kura tutaongeza. Those people should be held to account, and the referee should raise the red flag to them and tell them that this is not how it works here, because we are watching, Kenya is watching. As a lawyer, I will say the burden of proof, or rather the burden of trust, is on them. Thank you.
Very well said. Very well said, boy. Yeah, you can clap for him again. Let's hear from this gentleman again from the front.
From a law student and also a chair of Nyakach Social Justice Center. We have to admit that Kenya has one of the best elections, the legal frameworks for election systems, and we are one of the very politically stable countries in the continent and also in the Horn of Africa. But our only issue comes to the matter that all these are always built on issues of trust issues, right? And to an extent, the more I'm looking into Kenyans arguing about issues, I'm starting to get the notion that Kenyans are a little bit too whimsical. They're getting too whimsical on these issues. They're getting too soft on some matters, because some of them are way concerned with propaganda from this politician and all that. My professor, there's a professor of mine who's a friend of mine also, he's a patron of a certain book club, Professor Mohamed Bakari. There's a time he talks about when we're writing our narratives, when we're writing our stories, we should not omit any aspect of it, especially our history. And when you look at Kenya from the point we've come to, I can push you quickly from the time when the election was mainly under the AG, the Attorney General. And it later on came under the ECK, but it was still under the executive capture, that it was in 1992. Then later on, in the 2010s, after the 2007 violences, there were several reports and all that, and it was recommended that we come up with a commission. That is how IEBC came into place, right? And also the Constitution reiterated the position of IEBC, particularly in the Article 81, it reiterated the aspect of free and fair elections. And also, they came up with the statutes, such as the IEBC Acts and all that. And if you want to measure the journey we have traveled as a committee or as the IEBC committee, then we get back to what were the objectives of this committee when it was set in place. Okay, for the first times, it was a little bit, because the first election that the IEBC officiated was in 2013, right? And it was a little bit, because it was the first time that they're doing this, there was a little bit of tension here and there. There was a court proceeding, but it was, the petition was denied. But this created an element of doubt in the narratives that the Kenya had, the hope they had when this institution was put into place. Then later on it came to 2017, and 2017 showed that you have to stick to certain systems that are put in place. And they say there are certain procedures, there's certain elements of transparency, right, that are required for this commission to function in this manner. And that is when people are complaining about the forms, open the server, and all these elements. And later on in 2022, there's also another case. But now in this case of 2022, it was like, you guys are making it a systematic thing now. It's not that every day when elections are lost and you don't trust it, it means you have lost. So trust is more of an emotional issue, right? And where we go wrong is thinking that law can legislate trust. It can never happen. Law can never change the culture. What changes the culture is us getting back to our narratives and histories. And we also have to appreciate the journey we have come through as a commission and others. And for this new commission that is coming to place, I have lots of hope in it. I trust it to a very good extent, especially following the sentiment of the IEBC Amendment Act 2024. And this act introduced certain very nice elements, very good elements in issues of scrutiny, in issues of ensuring that the procedures are stuck to, in issues of ensuring things, changing the matter from a simple majority to the absolute majority, right? In the commissions and all that. Also adding to the quorums, adding to more commissioners, ensuring that the ICT experts have to be part of the commissioner. So for me, with the distance we have made, coming from the times of Kenyatta's, coming back to 1992, coming to 2007, where we have grown through to 2013, 2017, 2022, we have to appreciate that we are making progress toward a certain way. And when we are very whimsical about it, then we are going to mess up the progress we are making. Let's be objective on the path we want to choose when we are going forward.
Well said, and thank you very much. I want to just look at some statistics in terms of voter registration, because one of the things that we are discussing tonight is whether the youth have trust in the IEBC, trust enough to register as voters and to participate in the election. In 2013, the number of people who were eligible to be voters around that time was around 18 million, and those that had registered was 14.3 million. By 2017, the eligible voters, that's people who are above 18 in the country, was above 25 million who had not registered as voters. Those that participated as registered voters, 19 million. In 2022, there was a target to register 28 million registered voters. We ended up with 22 million registered, and 14 million turned up to vote. So even those that are registered as voters, 8 million did not participate in the election. It goes into all those questions whether they failed to register because they did not trust the process. And some of the reasons that were given by the IEBC when they were at the conclusion of the election was, one, there was a polarized political environment in the country, fear of election-related violence. They brought in the issues of rampant misinformation. Then the effects of COVID-19 could have played a part in 2022, insecurity, drought that had made people move from where they were and as registered voters. Comes back into, if we have so many people who are eligible as voters and they don't register to vote, there's one issue to address here. Those that are registered as voters and then they don't turn up to vote, it's another whole issue here that we have to address. And I posit, and I agree with Wakili here, that I think our big problem, Smart, is the other player in this game, and that's the politician. Over time, we have allowed our politicians to feel like they're the most important thing in our life.
Yeah.
Look at just the other day, young people came together, they went to Udhaya to visit one of their own, a TikToker who's creating content and is taking care of his father. Did you see some politicians coming in to say, oh my God, you see those young people? These people can mobilize for an election, as in they want to take everything to become politics.
Yes.
These guys went to take care of one person who is saying, I'm taking care of my father. And they show up for that. But a politician will see politics in the numbers. Politicians have become this thing that they believe that they're most important player in an election. They forget that the Constitution actually says that the citizen is the most important stakeholder in the election. Because the election is where the citizen is passing on his sovereignty to an elected official to exercise it on their behalf. So the most important is the voter. But then the politician comes up and makes it sound like, they are the most important. And so at the end of an election, if a politician is unhappy, they'll come and say that that election was not credible. And all of us then start believing that the election was not credible.
We pick a side.
We pick a side.
Yeah.
In 2010, we had a referendum conducted by an interim independent electoral commission. And because a majority had voted yes, and many on the stronger political side had gone with a yes, the IEBC conducted a very good election. Same people conducted an election 3 years later.
Yes.
Yeah, barely 2 years later, in 2013, and they needed to go home, all of them, because they were the most corrupt, the most untrustworthy people. And since then, we have had to remove a commission in every election. Why? Because it comes into a political fray. Politicians say that this thing is bad, and everybody feels we don't have trust in the election. If you listen to the reasons that we are giving today, we are going into money, we're going into all these other issues. We are not looking at the question you asked, what's happening in that room? Which I keep asking, what happens in that room? If I went to the classroom and I voted and I left these guys, and the people who are in that classroom, the agents are my village mates. The clerk is my village mate. The only person who maybe is not from my village is the presiding officer. And most likely is also a teacher in my village. How do they start stealing an election?
There's aliens who come during the elections, I'd like to believe, and they really mess up our elections. We're still investigating this. But I think it is an important point, which I think we need to exercise our mind, that we have this obsession with politicians. Our national sport is almost politics. And so we know every detail about how politicians get into office, how they get into office, how they mobilize, propaganda that is needed, amount of money that is needed. For a person to get a job, we obsess over it as a country, all right? And then how they get out of office. Now we'll obsess about how we're going to vote out maybe 70, 80% of members of parliament, plus senators, and whoever else we want to vote out. We obsess over it. And it's a problem, I think, that comes from a constitutional, I think, misadventure, maybe somewhere in the 90s, where I think two things were happening at the same time. Is we're going through these democratic processes of trying to come out of, one-party state, and then introduce liberalization at the same time, multi-party at the same time. And so we really, really obsessed of this idea of multiplicity of people in, in an electoral period. And our whole assumption was, if there's 10 people on the ballot, we have resolved all the questions on democracy. We have brought food on our table. Those are schools. Everything would work. And I think we have to really correct ourselves and perhaps say that we've not spent enough time to really figure out the job of governance and the job of the state. That what exactly happens in between elections. After we finish all this madness of, who's the best speaker, who dances the best, who's the most cleverest in propaganda, who can abuse the other one better than the other, there's a job of governance, and that job is what exactly happens to all of us as citizens. Now, we don't obsess over that, all right? Right now, we are gearing up ourselves for the next round of madness. And people will even kill each other for people that you'll never meet in your entire life. And they don't know even you exist, but you're going to kill people because Latifi has said something bad about my preferred presidential candidate. How dare he? And I think that is a citizen problem. And we might need to fix it by making politics boring. Just ignore politicians, all right? Vote them out, and let's spend time on making sure that those people, because they work for us, actually do work for us. All right? Yes, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Smart, Mr. Eric, the audience with me here, and viewers, of course. Good evening. My name is Mr. Ian Lemaya Nienko. I am a lawyer by profession and an active citizen. I would like to agree with Mr. Eric on the concept that you've talked about, the concept of how politics is polarized in Kenya. Politicians happen to be at the center stage of this polarization, and they have polarized our politics to the extent that with the figures you've given us, with the statistics that you've given us, will have a number that we have this number of registered voters, and then you have this number of voters who actually show up for the actual voting. Why do we have this huge difference? It is actually the polarization that we're talking about. I'm a registered voter in Narok, for example. I don't happen to be part of this community. Just a few weeks before elections, what do you hear? People are starting to call, they start talking in their mother tongues. I come from Narok County. I have seen it happen, and it's actually sad. But back to the main conversation that we were having, for me to gauge how IEBC is going to perform in the next coming elections, they do have a litmus test, and the litmus test is the coming by-elections. They actually have an opportunity to prove to Kenyans that they have actually taken steps to ensure that we will have a fair, transparent, and credible elections. When you look at these three ambits, this is what you actually measure what free, fair, and transparent election is. How fair is it? You gauge the fairness of an election with how the registration system is being conducted. How do you advertise? How many Kenyans have access, for example, to a TV station? How many Kenyans have access to newspapers? When you look at such measures, before they were quite effective, but with the new younger generation, which is quite vibrant, they actually don't watch mainstream media. If IEBC can be able to tap into the other forms of communications, that is TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, I think we will be able to tap into the question of how many voters actually do register for elections. And finally, I would like to conclude this entire conversation. My good friend, Mr. Innocent, said we do have these actual players. And the final part of our elections is actually decided at the courts. That is the last step at which now we can be able to know whether the elections were fair, free, and transparent. And in the words of the former Chief Justice of Kenya, who actually is now trying to test his political shoes, all the best to him, he said this while he was delivering the 2017 presidential elections, that the greatness of a nation is actually measured by two things. The first is the fear of God, and the second is the rule of law. So if we Kenyans, if the IEBC, and if politicians by themselves adhere to these two, I believe that our elections will be smooth, and we will be able to trust in this entire system. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. All right. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you very much. My name is Ed Ndi. It's an honor to be here today. And the big question here today is whether we can fully trust, we as citizens, we can put our trust to the IEBC. And we've digressed and reached to a point where we are saying the political class is having an intrusion into an independent body. IEBC generally is an independent body that the politicians who we have, not the general politicians we have on the top, beginning from the grassroots aspirants and politicians we have, they should literally view the IEBC as an independent body. The citizens of the country, the voters, they should also allow the IEBC to conduct its duties, and should there be any problem that they feel this and this was not done well, there's provisions that they can go to the court and the issue can be heard, and through that we shall have a way of solving most of the issues that come up during a general election. And when we talk about whether the problem is in the system, currently we are having a new commission. We are going to see their performance in the coming by-elections that you're going to see in the country. And through this, we can be able to gauge how well is this new commission handling issues compared to the other commissions that we have. Let us have a positive mindset and put our trust to the current IEBC commission and see how they are going to deliver on the upcoming by-election. And from that, if they do it perfectly, then it will be well and good. If they do it the way we didn't expect, it is upon all citizens, all voters, come out to stand out and say this and this was not well done. And we request that in the upcoming 2027 general election, that is, this and this need to be reformed so that we can have a perfect election. Thank you very much.
All right. Where's the microphone here? Yes, the lady and then the lady on that side.
My name is Ashley Precious, a data science student. So I need to make you guys remember we are from Mandamanu. And it's a very crucial issue. Like, it's what Gen Z and everyone like stand up and say that tomorrow I'm going to vote. As you can see tonight, everyone has been very strong in saying that I have to register. And I'm actually hoping that we all do. And when we all say this, it means that we actually trust IEBC. And it's coming from a point of frustration from Kenyans. The thing is, what was seen mostly during Maandamano is that they came up an issue of tribalism, they came up an issue of nepotism, so many issues, corruption in Nini. And it's all just when we cry about it, but what are we willing to do about it? We need to remember politics is a game of emotions. Politicians will always try and control how people feel. It's a game of emotions and a financial muscle for them and for everyone involved. That includes all the three players. And when we are here saying that the IEBC is at fault, it means that before tufike, tushaogopa. You see, which I can say that I've seen elections being held and everything, but I need us to trust it kidogo too, because it's a new muscle, it's a new set of people. But I also need to add the IEBC that as the politicians are frustrated emotionally because they're looking for a payday, and the Kenyans are frustrated because it's najua nani anenda kuvai. Ama huyu ni wetu anenda kuvai. We need the IEBC to be emotionally strong, and I can't condemn them because people say, oh, IEBC melipwa. I can't confirm or deny, but I would urge them to like have the strength during that period of elections.
Right. Yeah. I'm going to chance that you did not vote in the last election.
Yes, I didn't.
Right. You have an ID now?
Yes.
Have you registered as a voter?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
That was already on day one. Full trust on IEBC.
No, it's from a point of frustration.
Yeah,
and
I want to make a change.
The only point I can look back and fall onto is IEBC, because I can't conduct the elections. We need to choose people and trust them. Yes.
All right. Very reasonable. Yes, the gent just give the microphone to the lady on the side. Yes, please.
Thank you. I'm Felix Ombua, National Coordinator, Free Kenya Movement. And today a lot has been said about IEBC. And elections have been conducted before all of us here were born in this country. And there is that history which lives in our hearts that we read. Now, what we want to do come 2027, because we have to move on with this very commission that had a lot of issues when it was coming into place. We know there are some of us who went to petition in courts. Up to today, we know there are some irregularities that they are still conducting when they are going for the by-elections. For instance, they are making it hard for the young generation to vie for any position. Remember, we do not have that power and money power to marshal out the normal primaries in the political parties. We want to go independent. Sometimes they are making the handles, they are making it more harder for the young generation. Yet we want to bring in new order in the political order of this country. So mine is to encourage my little brothers and sisters. For me, I voted first during the IEBC, that was the interim independent, when we were doing the referendum, that is Chungwa na Ndizi. We have to protest on ballot. We have to prepare and arm ourselves with IDs to ensure that whatever the chairman shall stand up to announce will be the will of the people. Because our numbers, we said Syrian numbers. They are trying to come up with the numbers. For me, na control milioni 8 ya Murima, mimi na control milioni 2 ya hapa. For us, we said we are tribalists. We said we are partyless. How can we fight this new order if we are not going to be active citizens and register as voters? I beseech every Kenyan, wherever they are, try and wake up tomorrow, get an ID if you don't have one, try and register as a voter. Let's leave the rest to God and to the rules of this country, because we know there are many elections that were decided in courts. If the worst of the worst comes, we shall also go for the same route, whereby we have to petition this, because we believe in the rule of law. I want to correct someone who said that we are seated here, yet we do not trust IEBC. 22 million Kenyans seated back at home. You don't trust. We love our country. We cannot just mess our country because of 10 individuals. We are going to do things the right way, and whoever will raise against us, God will see that these people are really fighting for their country. The law will be on our side as we fight for our country. So, as a young generation, do not shy. Do not keep off anything that is related to politics, because we know our health, our education, our well-being is tied into politics. Raise up today, tomorrow, and remind everyone around you. Let's not sit back and leave this to the kingpins of our tribe. Let's not conform to the tribal cocoons that they are trying to come up with. Let's stand up, not as Gen Zs, not as millennials, but Generation Zote, and make that protest vote, and it shall count. We know what is happening within the region. The same, they come to benchmark in our country, yet we have no trust with our IEBC. If you talk of Uganda, they benchmark here. Tanzania, they benchmark here. We have to show them that it will work this time. Thank you.
Okay, so let's not leave it to God. God has left it to us.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why you have the ballot, right?
Now,
so it becomes very problematic when we just do this living thing, yeah? So God has left it for us so that we can actually action it, right? Leaving it to God is a cop-out. Yes, the lady on the right.
My name is Faith Gishuru from Nyeri County, and I am a data profession. Well, a lot has been said about the IEBC, and I want to pick up from something that Eric said. One, from the little experiment that he did, Kenyans do believe in their vote being a point of change to their country. And they just believe that it will trickle down to them. And the question is, what happens now when we leave that classroom and everyone and the officials are coming together to collaborate everything? As a data profession, we usually say in tech that the human being is the point of failure in almost any system that you have, right? So the 3 points I'll look at is that, one, the IEBC has a big, has a burden to showcase to not only the politicians and the voters on the accuracy, the accountability and transparency of elections. And the key things I'd look at is the security, accountability, and accuracy. Unfortunately, the mistrust that Kenyans have, has been festered through many scenarios that you've seen. One, we had this scandal where there were schools or ghost schools that were found out, and people were asking that you may find some of them are actually polling stations. And then now we even have the situation of people stuffing election ballots and the likes. And now we also have the Form 34 BNCs that were the cracks of both the 2017 annulled elections and even the 2022. And I'd say is that, one, we need to incorporate the minds of the latest the people in technology to kind of make our systems better, so that when we can have better data handling and even data synchronization for those Form 34As, Bs and Cs across. When it comes to accountability, we need the IEBC to be all back and bite, not only all back and no bite, where we have people making certain statements that ripple across the Kenyans and make them feel really uneasy. And 3, we need to have the politicians being put to check. As you've heard from here, that people are really frustrated and people really want that change happening. And I believe the politicians should be scared, honestly. And I think my last word will be is that as voters, we just need to have to keep the faith and remember it's our civic responsibility to not only have that faith, but also put in the knowledge to know about them, so that, as Maureen said, the frustration is there, and we need to make sure that those 22 million show up across and even more, so that we can actually now feel the change that you want to have impacted finally land upon us. Thank you.
All right, great. I'm going to chance that you didn't vote the last time.
No.
All right, for the same reason that everyone else,
Yeah.
you're under it. So have you registered now?
I will by the end of this week. That's the priority.
All right. Okay.
My name is Ashiza Nameza from Nairobi County. I'm from Bunge la Wananchi, Jivanji, and also a community policing leader in the community. Mostly where I come from, in the community of Nairobi, many places in the remote areas like Kibera, Mathare, other outcasts in Nairobi, many people are left out. You see, like the voter registration that we are having right now, many people don't even know it is happening. Many people are not having telephones, are not having the TVs that we have. So mostly we are asking the IEBC, what are they doing for all the Kenyans to be participating in the voter registration? And that's why we are lacking. We are lacking the 8 million that the others who didn't vote, because the IEBC needs to do a civic education to every Kenyan, every corner, in every constituency, every ward, waende kila mahali, you know, so that these people can get to know and understand what is happening. Because you see, like even I even have a platform where you see, like a person will ask you, how will I go about it? How will I even go and vote? So people are left out. People are, you know, they want to vote really, but they don't even know. And also others, they don't even know. The leaders, the MCA, what does the MCA do? You see, what is the senator? What is the work of the senator? What is the work of the governor? What is the work for the president? What's the work for the deputy president? Many people are left out. So the IEBC needs to chatter down and also make sure that everyone has to be, you know, given their civic education. Yeah, for them to know and understand. And we are going to have many voters. Thank you.
So I want to do one final poll as we start to wind down. Again, on your cards, how many here, using your cards, voted in the last election? Red, didn't vote. Green, you voted. All right. Second question, how many intend to vote in these coming elections? Okay, there's one person who has no intention of voting whatsoever. Let's give her the microphone. She's listened to us waste 1.5 hours. It's like, let's let the microphone to the back, please.
She's given up.
Yeah, she's like, yeah, this thing will never work. I'm not interested. Yes, please. Why are you not going to vote? What is, please stand.
Okay, thank you. I'm not going to vote because I'm sure the vote that I'm going to vote is not going to win. They're going to steal, as they have been doing.
You don't trust the process at all?
Yeah, I don't trust them.
Wow.
Yeah.
And this is based on previous experience?
Yeah, all the experience, they have been stealing.
Have you voted before?
No.
You're not planning to ever vote again? She doesn't want her ballot that has never been there before to ever be stolen. Wow. All right. Latif.
But a majority of them of people are saying that, you know, they want to participate in the next election. I think, Smart, as you come to give us the last word, what I just like to say for my parting shot is just reflecting what the room is saying, that the IEBC is an institution created by our laws and our constitution. And if we say that we the people give ourselves this constitution, then we also have a role to play in protecting our institutions that we create. And maybe this is a point where we come back and say, so what do we do to safeguard the IEBC, to make sure that the IEBC, because it's our tool that we use to pass on our sovereignty, to delegate our sovereignty to elected leaders, then IEBC should be protected by us from these guys who want to, you know, mess it up. like we say, some have said, you know, IEBC goes into bed with the politicians, IEBC is influenced by the politicians, IEBC is underfunded by the politicians, IEBC is all those things by the politicians. So create distance between the citizen, the sovereign, the citizen's instrument called the IEBC, and the politician, to whom the citizen intends to delegate some of this authority. So it's then how do we protect that? Yeah. By making sure that we are constantly looking at what the IEBC is doing, calling it out, and also giving it the confidence. If Erastas and the commissioners feel that the public is behind them, then the Erastas can do the red card to the politician and say, we disbar you and to disqualify you from participating in this election, because the commission will be knowing that citizens are behind it. But if the commission has a fear that citizens will go with the politician, and they will not touch the politician.
They will all go with the politicians.
Yeah.
Right. So we asked on our social media and asked here as well, if you trust the IEBC to deliver credible elections. We've had 4,000 votes tonight in the last 1 hour. And would you guess it? 80% say absolutely not. 20% said yes. So there's a bit of... I think the last word then really is born out of this. And I think IEBC has its work cut out for this reason, that how we've arrived here has been a process of elections after elections, and they build onto each other. So you start in 2013, where the voter turnout was 86%. Obviously, people believed then that there was our votes really thought would count. 2017, it went to 76%. Again, you lost some numbers there. Then in 2022, it was about 68%. This downward trend, of course, tells its own story, that progressively, Kenyans are feeling and are seeing that perhaps their vote, as the lady in the room has eloquently put, that one ballot doesn't really count, and the people who count the votes are the ones who actually make sense and the ones who elect the leaders for us. And that's a very dangerous place to be in. So, in effect, IEBC has one role and one role only, to convince you that, in fact, that one vote, your ballot, really matters. And that's the most sacrosanct thing that they can do. And that's the job purely and squarely in the hands of IEBC and no one else. Not that the people who count the votes and how they count it and the electoral system and the technology and the laws and the machines, they are not going to elect leaders for us. It's going to be your vote and my vote that will elect leaders for us. That's the job of IEBC, and that is the last word. Thank you very much for your company. As always, we enjoy spending time with you, interrogating, intersecting these issues. They are as complex, hardly black and white, heavily nuanced. My name is James Watt.
I'm Eric Latif. Thank you and good night.